For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand.
All right, we back. Yes, we back. Now, today, we're going to be talking about President Donald Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Yes, indeed. Of course, this is going to be in regards to the situation, to the unfortunate tragedy that occurred in North Carolina with the Ukrainian refugee. You know, my heart goes out to the victim and the family, you know, first things first. But I just got to push back on the propaganda. And of course, this is going to be a follow-up video to the one I dropped the other day where I debunked the conservative grifters who, like I said, to me, this is all selective fake outrage. This story is being blown up due to the characters involved. Black man, white woman, right? So the conservative grifters are sensationalizing this, politicizing this, getting their audience emotionally riled up simply due to the racial identity of the victim and the perpetrator. When in reality, if you look at the stats, a white woman has more to fear from the white man standing next to her than any black man, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be that white man that's going to victimize her. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a white man that takes her life. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a white man that commits a violent crime against her, right? So at the end of the day, if you want to talk about statistics and you want to run the numbers, anytime a white woman is the victim of assault or murder or any violent crime, it's going to be a white man that's guilty of committing that crime. That's simply the facts. That's simply the stats. So at the end of the day, anything else is simply selective fake outrage, right? So to me, I'm simply not going for the propaganda. I'm not going for the fake outrage. Every single day, every single week, a news story comes out in the headlines of a white woman falling victim at the hands of a white man. So I'm not going for the propaganda. I'm not going for the media sensationalism, especially not from Donald Trump, and definitely not from these conservative grifters who are simply peddling the propaganda for personal gain. Now, in today's video, just like my video the other day, we're going to give some of these guys a reality check. We're going to take a look at some headlines that came out in the news recently, in the past week, in the past month, in the past few months, all within the year 2025, right? And I'm going to show you that these guys are grifting. Like I said, a white woman is going to be victimized by a white man before anybody else, before anything else. That's a fact, simply a fact. Anything else is simply out of the ordinary, out of the norm. The norm is a white man attacking a white woman. That's what happens every single day, every single week. Now, anyway, let's jump into some of these headlines that have come out in the news recently, right? A few months ago, back in May, a man is accused of slashing an 8-year-old girl's neck with a beer bottle simply for being in his way, right? Take a look up on the screen. According to police, 24-year-old Nicholas Sansucci broke a beer bottle over an 8-year-old girl's head at a restaurant and then stabbed and sliced her in the neck with the glass. God damn. The court document stated that Sansucci accused the 8-year-old girl of being in his way, right? So this is the perpetrator right here. You know, he was at the restaurant about to get a cheeseburger. You know, 8-year-old girl in his way, bashed her over the head with a bottle and cut her throat. But of course, you know, that's not worthy of getting the press release at the White House. That's not worthy of the conservative grifters, you know, running the story on a 24-hour loop. I understand it's the grift. Now let's continue. Take a look at this headline. July 2025, a vicious dad smashed the skull of his premature son and left the hospital for a smoke while he died. God damn. Daniel Gunther, 27 years old, left his son with a fractured skull, a broken neck, and a broken jaw and broken legs before walking out of the hospital for a smoke. Jesus. This is the perpetrator right here, right? Destroyed his son, bashed him over the head, cracked his skull, broke his leg, and then went to go smoke a Newport outside. Didn't give a damn. Right. But of course, you know, like I said, it's the black boogeyman. You know, it's the black boogeyman that you should be afraid of, right? Oh, run and hide. The black man is outside. Anyway, let's continue. Take a look at this headline. June 2025, a Florida monster killed his ex-girlfriend's toddler with a beating so brutal that he severed her spine, right? So this is the perpetrator right here, right? Broke a little girl's spine. That's how much he beat her. He was beating her like a grown man, cracked her spine, right? See, the other guy, you know, cracked his son's, you know, skull, you know, fractured his damn skull. This guy, you know, we cracking spines. But like I said, it's the black boogeyman that you should be afraid of, when in reality, if a white child or a white woman is a victim of a crime, 9 times out of 10, damn near 10 times out of 10, it was a white male who was guilty of that crime. Anyways, let's continue. Take a look up on the screen. A man is accused of stabbing a woman in her sleep and he is granted bond, right? So We talking about, oh, the innocent women, the innocent white woman minding her business on the train. But meanwhile, we got innocent white women minding their business inside their own homes in the comfort of their bedroom, falling asleep. And we got white males crawling through windows, stabbing them while they sleeping. But of course, was that worthy of the White House press release? Of course not, because the perpetrator, it didn't match the narrative. It didn't match the narrative. And you know what's so funny about the narrative they're painting about this story, about the unfortunate Ukrainian lady? Do you think that it was a white man that came to her rescue or assistance? No. Surveillance video came out. It was a black man that was the first man on the scene, took off his own shirt in order to put pressure on the wound. The white man was nowhere to be found. It was the black man that came to her rescue, right? But of course, that doesn't fit the narrative. It doesn't fit the narrative. A bunch of shameless bastard grifters, all of you. Anyways, take a look at this headline. A Reynoldsburg man held on $3 million bond on charges of buying and abusing a 7-year-old girl, right? So, of course, Donald Trump, you know, he's not going to talk about the white men of America going around purchasing children for their own personal pleasure, right? Purchasing children like they're a pair of socks or a cheeseburger. I'm going to go buy a child. I'm going to go purchase a child. Anyway, let's continue. Take a look at this headline. A man is arrested after abusing an 11-year-old girl, right? As you can see, the usual suspects, not even 30% of the population, over 70% of these type of crimes committed by the same demographic. Right? Whenever the FBI arrests somebody for having certain material on their computers, right, on their cell phone, certain images and videos that you're not supposed to be watching, it's always that same demographic always getting arrested, right? 29% of the population, over 70% of the sex crimes. Now, anyway, let's continue. Take a look at this headline. A former Steuben County Sheriff's deputy pleads guilty to child pornography charges. Like I said, 29% of the population committing over 70% of the crimes against children. That's a fact, coming straight from the U.S. government. That's a fact. And we're going to get into those numbers later on in the video. Keep watching, right? Like I said, 29% of the population, over 70% of the crimes against children. Let's continue. Take a look at this headline. A former Sandoval County detective sentenced in a child pornography case. September 2025. That article came out a few days ago, right? And as you can see, the usual suspects. But of course, is the president going to make a big announcement? Is he going to bring out the cinematic production for the press release? Of course not. Of course not. I can't believe I will see today where the U.S. president is grifting. Goddamn, the president himself, the commander in chief, is grifting. That's crazy, bro. Trump, you already rich, bro. You don't got to grift. You can't even run for another term. Why you grifting? Goddamn, bro, Trump grifting for no reason, bro. You don't got nothing to prove to your base. You don't have nothing to prove to your base. You are a 2-term president. You already rich. Why you grifting, big bro? Well, stop grifting. Anyway, let's continue. Take a look at this headline. This article came out a few days ago, September 5th, right around the time the unfortunate tragedy happened. A Michigan doctor arrested in a sting operation after allegedly asking a mother if he could have sexual relations with her 5-year-old child, right? And as you can see, 29% of the population committing over 70% of these type of crimes. So that's why I say it's not the black man that white women should be scared of or white children should be scared of. It's not us, bro. It's not us. Anyway, let's continue. Take a look at this headline. An Oregon middle school teacher accused of starving and abusing his 6-week-old twins, right? So, like I said, and all of these stories have came out in the last 90 days, 100 days. I'm not going back years back. I'm not going back to last year. Of course, in the video I did the other day where they talked about if the roles were reversed, oh, it'd be riots in the streets. It'd be national news, right? I showed them a bunch of cases from the past year, the past couple years where the same exact situation occurred, even more brutal, even more barbaric in nature, right? Dismemberment, decapitation, and it wasn't national news. Nothing happened. No riots hit the streets, nothing, right? So we debunked them on that aspect. Now, in this video, I'm showing you recent cases. I'm showing you articles that were published like 3 days ago, last week, last month, 3 weeks ago, 2 months ago, right? All recent cases. But are these conservative grifters, are their hearts bleeding for these victims? Of course not, because they're grifters and they're dishonest and they're disingenuous and they're pushing narratives and fake propaganda. But anyways, back to what I said before, 29% of the population committing over 70% of a certain type of crimes. Let's take a look at the government statistics, since these guys love numbers and statistics, right? Take a look up on the screen. 45.8% of individuals sentenced for child pornography were sentenced for possessing child pornography. 43% were for trafficking child pornography, and 11% was for receiving child pornography. And of those stats, 99% were men, 71% were whites, 18% were Hispanic, 6% were black, and 4.8% were other races. The average age was 41 years old. 94.9% were U.S. citizens. 72.8% had little or no prior criminal history, right? So like I said, 29% of the population and committing over 70% of crimes against vulnerable populations, mainly children. And like I said, I'm simply reading numbers that were collected by the government, right? The government has compiled this data. I'm simply reading it. This is not slander. It's not defamation. It's not propaganda. It's simply a fact. 29% of the population committing over 70% of crimes against children, right? So spare me your fake narrative of I'm the protector of women and children and I'm the protector. No, you're not, brother. No, you're not. You the number one. You're not protecting the goddamn thing. Let's continue. Take a look up on the screen. Of the 1,169 defendants charged with any of the 3 types of human trafficking in 2020, 92% were men, 63% were whites, and 18% were black. And keep in mind, black men have the highest number of exonerations, which means that we are charged with crimes that we did not commit at the highest rate. So we have a bunch of false stats on our rap sheet. So for us to still be such a low number and a low representation, that probably mean that we're probably at like 10% or even lower than that. So, and considering these guys get overlooked because the propaganda is the black man is the criminal and they're not, apparently. So for them to be so high, that means they're just blatantly committing just outrageous crimes where the government is just snatching them up at outrageously high rates, right? Like just goddamn, bro. Like how are you not even 30% of the population? And you are the majority of human traffickers, child pornography traffickers and receivers and manufacturers and brother, come on now. We got to have a conversation. Like, listen, the conservatives love talking about, the single mothers in the black community, the black man, this and that, the black man, this and that. We got to talk about the white community as well, though. We got to talk about what's going on with the young white man. What's going on, bro? What's going on? Stop looking at the kids, bro. Leave the kids alone, bro. The kids are watching Coco Melon. The kids are watching SpongeBob. Why are you looking at the kids like that? Come on, what's wrong with you, dude? Let's continue. Take a look at this headline. Back in June of this year, 3 sisters found dead after leaving their house for a planned visit with their father, right? So I'm wondering why these victims were not worthy of getting the presidential, press release, the presidential announcement, right? Like, how come their deaths were not on the same level of importance or didn't pull on the heartstrings of America as the unfortunate tragedy that occurred in Charlotte, North Carolina? Not minimizing what happened. Like I said, my heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to the victim. I'm not even defending the criminal or the perpetrator. I believe that he should be locked up forever. He's obviously not fit to be amongst us in civilized society. Obviously, mentally, he's not right. His own family came out and said, listen, he been had screws loose in his mind. And they even said that one time he called 911 saying that somebody implanted something in my brain and is controlling my brain. So obviously this was somebody who was not, mentally all the way there. Right. But of course, they're going to paint the propaganda, the narrative, the black boogeyman, when in reality, like I said, the first man on the scene to help the victim was a black man. If you watch the entire video, right, it was a black man that came, took off his own shirt to put pressure on the wound to make some attempt at saving the life of the victim. But of course, the black man that came to save the life of the victim is not going to be the topic of conversation because we're going to use the schizophrenic idiot, the schizophrenic lunatic as the vehicle for the propaganda. But anyway, let's continue. Take a look at this headline. A fugitive felon, Austin Drummond, captured in the slaying of a Tennessee family that left an infant abandoned. A frantic manhunt is underway for a convicted felon suspected of murdering a Tennessee family and then abandoning the 7-month-old girl in her car seat in a stranger's yard 40 miles away. Authorities blasted out Austin Robert Drummond's photo on Thursday, warning that the alleged killer was likely to be armed and dangerous, right? So this guy apparently killed a whole family, right? And then, abducted the 7-month-old girl and left her in a random yard like 40 miles away, right? So like I said, I really wonder why these stories didn't pull on the heartstrings of America in the same way that the unfortunate incident down in Charlotte did. If you ask me, it seems like identity politics is at play, right? The same far right, the same conservatives, they used to always say, oh, I don't see color, right? Oh, it's not about identity politics. Oh, it's not about race. I don't see race, right? Now, all of a sudden, the conservatives have become the liberals. Everything is now about race. Everything is now identity politics. Everything is now, I'm the victim, right? But like I said, 29% of the population, over 70% of the crimes against children. Let's continue. A 17-year-old boy arrested in the killing of a paddleboarder in a small town down in Maine, right? So this is the victim. Her cause of death was strangulation and blunt force trauma, right? Now, this was the perpetrator, right? Some teenager, he just, for whatever reason, he strangled this elder to death for no reason. I don't know why. Probably had a single mother at home or something, like the conservatives be saying. Anyway, let's continue. A man is charged over the murder of a husband and wife while they were hiking with their 2 young daughters in Arkansas. Now, this was a crazy story, right? So these were the victims. They were, just a, family evening, spending the evening with the family, going hiking, going on the trail, spending time with my wife and my daughters. And then this deranged lunatic out of nowhere just attacks the family and kills the family while they were out hiking, enjoying the afternoon under the sun, just enjoying life, just enjoying life with the family. And he just killed the family while they were on their hike for no reason. But of course, the conservative grifters, they didn't jump on the story, right? They didn't, it didn't tug on their heartstrings. Donald Trump didn't want to make an announcement from the White House. Let's continue. Take a look at this headline. A man commits a brutal murder just days after being freed by California's mental health laws, right? So the conservatives been going around, oh my God, they keep letting the criminals out on the streets, on the loose, right? Oh my God, they keep letting them out on the streets to commit more crimes, right? But this case, like I said, that article came out back in July, not even 2 months ago, right? But of course, the same grifters shouted from the rooftops, oh my God, they keep letting the criminals out on the streets. They were nowhere to be found when this criminal was going around killing people after being let back out on the streets. Let's continue. Take a look at this headline. A tragic murder of a South African teacher by her husband in the United States, right? So it's funny because Donald Trump just recently opened the floodgates, opened the doors for the white South African immigrants. You remember, he said, oh my God, the white South African refugees, right? And these guys ain't even been here for 6 months. They're already killing their wives, killing their girls. And these guys talking about they love the white woman so much. Please, brother, please. You've been here for 6 months, already kill your girl, bro. I'm not buying none of that garbage. Like I said, these guys don't care about white women. These guys don't care about white children. 29% of the population, over 70% of the crimes against children. All y'all some grifters. All y'all some bastards. Get out of my face, man. Anyways, it's your boy Neferkari, that's Celine, back in the building. Yes, indeed. Second single off the next project, The Spy and Bamako. Pin comment at the top. Check it out. Link in the description. Subscribe to the Patreon. And I'm gone. Peace. Feel like they see me, I feel like I'm Saudi or ran up on Yana in the middle of Bamako. Enemy line, they claiming he innocent. Don't do no talking, I gotta move militant. Don't do no talking, I hit him with facts. 1804, bringing it back. 1804 like I'm Mother Cap Henry. King with the vision, the crown never empty. Top of the mountain, my soldiers defend me. Ducking and dodging the foreign intelligence. Hitting my dance on the DGSE. Dodging they traps, still on my feet. Feeling impeccable, feel like I'm shining. Go to my neck and I'm flooded with diamonds. Go to my neck and I feel like a mess. Feel like a lion, I'm in the savannah. Feel like the king when I'm up in the jungle. Never defeated, I never been humble. Come out victorious every encounter. Money machine give me help when I count it. Money machine stack it up in a beat. Heart of a king and I ride for the team. Weight of the world got it stuck on my shoulders. Bet you can feel it, my heart getting colder. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater.